Now this workers committee, what exactly happens here? Considering the detail of workers participation management scheme, total number of members should not exceed what? 12. They started with this committee in the month of September in 1994. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm B.B.A from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to all the students for this fifth session of the first chapter. Now here I'll be explaining you about the workers participation management and what all are the forms of workers participation management. When we go with the forms of workers participation management, it can come for 10 marks. In our main examination, we are supposed to go with these 5 committees. Now the first one here when we go is, that is the workers committee. The next one is joint management council. So you have committees as well as councils. Now what we have done is, after 1947, when we started to get into the real practice of how we are supposed to monitor our own workers, that is the time the first 5-year plan, the second 5-year plan, it has always actually updated the reforms, and we have made so many reforms wherein it is actually benefiting the workers at large. The first one that was a workers committee. Now this workers committee, what exactly happens here? Now any industries or any company where you have more than 100 employees, and more, those people can actually form a works committee. Now here what happens is, the employer and the employee or the laborer, they will have their representatives, and those representatives will actually join this works committee. And here what happens, we don't have any union. That's why it is what? It's a committee without any union interference. We have a committee, and whatever will be the benefit for the employer will be actually spoken by the employer's representative. What all the laborers and the employees want, that will be spoken by the representative of employee and the laborers people. Now here joint management council we have. Now joint management council, in the second 5-year plan we went with this approach. Now when we went with this approach, what really happened was, we have taken it from UK, that is England, Belgium, then we went with the France, the way how they go with joint management council, and then we figured it out that these committees and these councils will actually help the laborers, and that will actually make them feel happy that they are always with the committee and the council. Next one we had is joint council. The same way the joint management council, we have one more council, that is joint council. I'll tell you the difference between joint management council and joint council. Next one we have is shop council, and the last one here we have is unit council. Now even in unit council, we have people, that is only if they are 100 and more, only then they can actually form unit council. So these are the committees and council which are in the form of workers participation management. The first one we have is works committee. Now Industrial Dispute Act, as you people know, that is 1949. In that particular thing, we went with this approach of works committee. So the Industrial Dispute Act 1949, it provides for the setting up of works committee. So this is the act which has given the permission to set works committee. So here what exactly happens in works committee? Works committee is very simple. As I told you, we have people representative by the employer. We have people who are the representative of laborer. Now what happens is, at least this is the criteria is what? At least 100. That is the minimum is how much? 100 people, and maximum is what? You can go with any of the maximum, because in this committee they have not prescribed any maximum, but the minimum they have prescribed, that is 100. Anybody who is undertaking 100 employees or 100 laborers, they need to go with the working committee. That is called works committee. Now here what happens? The representatives, they'll actually come and they'll form a works committee. And here we do not allow, we don't have the union. So the absent of union, we don't have union. And the people will represent the person as a leader only through vote, that is democracy is shown. So they'll vote for their representative who can actually stand in the president and the secretary thing. And then what happens is, both the way it is, like the employer will also get benefited because the employer will also give their representatives, laborers will also give their representatives. Even here employer will also represent his representatives. So this is what happens in the works committee. Even one more example if I need to tell you is what? That is the Bombay Industrial Relation Act, which was in 1946. Now even here in 1940, but to be very frank, after Bombay Industrial Relation 1946, we went with the Industrial Dispute Act. But here in Industrial Dispute Act, this became very much legal and people started to follow after 1949 only. Here what happened in Bombay Industrial Relation Act, that is, it provides for these bodies, but under the provision of this act, they can be set up only in units. Now in the unit council, I'll teach you what really it was, which have a recognized union and they are called joint committee. So here when you go with works committee, you do not have unions, but here in 1946 they had. That's why it is revised to what? The Industrial Dispute Act 1949. They gave a provision for works committee. The next one we have is Joint Management Council. Now I told you about this Joint Management Council earlier in France, Belgium, UK. These type of councils were being practiced. Now we saw what exactly the benefits of these things are, and then we have adopted it. The first one when we go with, that is the second 5-year plan. See, you people know what the 5-year plan is, isn't it? The first 5-year plan, we never had anything which was like the Joint Management Council. But after the first 5-year plan, when we went for the second 5-year plan, we had these type of councils. Recommended the setting up of Joint Council of Management consisting of a representative of workers and management. Again, here also what? There is a representation from the management as well as the laborers. But why is that there is a representative of workers as well as the management? The reason here is, nobody should be biased. Nobody should feel that one of the management is getting more hype or one of the laborers is actually getting hype. That's why they have a representative from both the parties. The report of the study group was considered by the Indian Labour Council, ILC, Indian Labour Council. You are supposed to remember all these points because these are the very important things which you people as a HR manager should know, that what are the clause, what are the laws, which year we went with, did we have any reform for that, or there was any kind of amendments which was passed in the parliament. All these things you are supposed to know. Now that is, it is the 15th session in 1957 and it made certain recommendations. So you should know the recommendations, what exactly and who is the person who recommended that also you should know. The first recommendation is what? There are two types of recommendation. The first recommendation is the Workers' Participation Management, that is called WPM. Workers' Participation Management scheme should be set up in selected undertaking on voluntary basis. You should not force anybody. Voluntarily they are supposed to come and they are supposed to register their identity in the committee. Second is a subcommittee. Now within the committee you have a subcommittee consisting of representative of employer, workers and government should be set up. See, here we have government also. The reason is the government body, whoever are the representative, they will see to it that what exactly the councils are doing. Are they favoring only one of the side or both the sides are taken into consideration? Should be set up for considering the detail of workers' participation in management schemes. So the government is always interested to see what exactly the workers committee as well as the management committee are doing in the joint management council. So that's the reason it is called what? Joint management. Next is we have joint councils. Now, joint management is different, joint council is different. Now, the joint council are for the whole unit, and its membership remains confined to those who are actually engaged in the organization. That is, nobody can actually come here who is not associated with the organization. It is only within the organization. The tenure of joint council is for 2 years. Now you got to know that how many years the joint council can actually stay. After that, what will happen? Again, you have a re-election. The chief executive of unit becomes its chairman. So whoever is the chief executive, he becomes the chairman. Workers members of the council nominate the vice chairman. So whoever is the chief executive, without any doubt, he becomes the chairman. Now the other people will nominate, and the person who gets nominated, he'll become the vice chairman. The joint council appoints the secretary. Now here there is no election, it is the appointment. That means selection and appointment. Who can be the secretary? And the last one is the secretary is responsible for discharging the functions of the council. So the secretary, whoever will become in the joint council, now he is the person who is responsible. Who is responsible? That is the secretary is the person who is responsible for the joint councils, anything, whatever happens. So he is a person whom you can talk to. Shop council. Now in the shop council, what happens is we have represents each department or shop in a unit. Each shop council will consist of an equal number of representatives of employer and workers. Now if it is 60 here, even here also it is 60. The employer's representative will be nominated by the management and must consist of person from within the unit concerned. So who that person is in the organization only he should work. He will be representing the management. The workers representative will be from among the workers of the department or the shop concerned. So any kind of a shop, any kind of a place where they work all together, now those persons should only come. The number of members of each council may be determined by the employers in consultation with the recognized union. Now here we have something called the union. The total number of members, however, may not generally exceed 12. So this is what it is. The total number, whoever, whatever the things are, the total members, it should not be exceeding more than 12. So if it is here 6 workers participation will be there, here 6 management employees, that is the representatives will be there. So 6 and 6, 5 and 5, 4 and 4, like that it goes. The total number of members should not exceed what? 12. So this is what the shop council is consist of. The next one we have is unit council. Now in unit council, again I told you it is like at least 100 and more. That is what the unit council will fit here. Now we have something like public sector and private sector. This is majorly for the public sector where service is given. Now usually more people gathering wherever it happens, that is a place where you will go with the unit council. That means more than 100 people should be there in that council. Now what is the advantage here is when we go with the mining or any kind of other services given to the public sector, these units council will actually help the laborers to participate in the management as well as the management to know that what the laborers need. Now it encourages the success of the scheme in manufacturing and mining units. I told you where it actually goes with the mining unit, and a new scheme of workers participation in management in commercial and services. Commercial, that means the business is happening there. And here what really happens when it goes with a large scale public undertaking. So it happened in the 5th January 1977. The date please do remember, 5th January 1977. It was announced in the year 1977 on the month of January in the day of 5th. Now the scheme actually goes with what? At least 100 people should be there. what is it? At least 100 people should be there. So these are the councils and committees which helps the workers' participation in management. Workers' participation in India. Now, what exactly the evaluation they did? Now, to evaluate the worker participation management, they had to set a three-party committee that is called as the tripartite committees. Now, when you go and say tripartite, in the sense there are three parties. There are three parties, and they started with this committee in the month of September in 1994. Now, when they went with the committee, what really they found out is there are three things. The first one, there are three things. The first one, what is that they found is the government is the only party which is actually being very serious about the committee, but the employer and employees are not participating properly or not taking it seriously. The second one is employees are only talking about what the betterment or the facilities what they should get, rather than they're not talking something about why absenteeism is more and why there is a delay of work. In the third, what they went with is the employer is not taking serious things about the joint management council. He is not approaching, or he's not asking, or he's not giving consideration for the employees to talk about the betterment of the productivity or the betterment of the machines and how exactly they are supposed to use. He's only talking about the other things which the employees are not so happy about. So these are the evaluation which was done by the three-party committee. So the first one here we have is what? The committee after evaluation indicated that except the government, the employees and the employer have not taken the scheme seriously. That is the first one. Second one is the employee representatives were more interested in the betterment of workforce rather than addressing larger issues such as absenteeism and productivity. So each and every person is only thinking about themselves. They are not thinking about what will happen for the future. On the other hand, the employer seems to have neglected the Joint Management Council, that is called JMC, for decisions involving critical issues such as changes in production process and employee redevelopment. So they never ask the employees at what they want, rather than they used to do what they feel like doing it. So, and next one we have is the failure of WPM, that is the workers' participation management. What all went for a toss, why it was a failure. We have listed here few of the failures here. What exactly happened so that the workers' participation management became a failure? The first one is ideological differences, the differences within the employer and the employee, that is the ideological differences, and lack of proper participation, where employer used to participate more and the employees were not ready to listen to what the employers say, or it was vice versa. The second one is multiplicity. Now, multiplicity of participative firm leading to duplication, redundance and wastage of time. So sometimes what used to happen is whatever they used to tell, it was not meaningful, plus they used to go for a duplicacy of the same committee and the same meeting. Next is industrial relation marked by lack of trust between the management and employees. So this is what the real picture is, where the failure of WPM led it. The reason here is there was no trust between the employees and the employer. And the last one we have is improper attitude and lack of awareness among employees. There were so many other employees who never had the courage to go and face the employer, plus they never had the right education of how to approach the employer. And the last one is the way they used to behave and the attitude matters, where the employees were not treated by the employer as well as the employer were not treated by the employees properly. So that is where the workers' participation management failed. And these are the things which we are supposed to know as a HR manager. In the next session, I'll be taking the second chapter, and the second chapter will be covering about the employees' works, health and safety, where I'll be teaching you more about the safety measures which the employees should take care when they are working in the organization. Until then, thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.